an interesting end to the week it was. Yeah, we'll get into that later. But first off, Thursday, the heavy day. This is week 3 of this training block, and this day went really well. Don't know exactly where this came from. Maybe just a little bit of extra motivation, feeling mentally locked in since I officially signed up for the meet. Yeah, either way, this went really, really well. I squatted 5 kilos more than last week and at a way faster speed. Subjectively felt way lighter, way more comfortable. Same with bench 130, which is the same as I did on Monday, but also was way faster and just way easier. Deadlift, I went up 5 kilos as well, and I moved well. I was pretty tired by that point, so it wasn't super fast, but it didn't feel hard and heavy. So all around, this was a really good day here. So here's my last warm-up at 180, and this is kind of judge to see if I was going to go to just chip 187 like last week or up to 190. After I squatted that, I knew I was going to go to 190, and then these guys here in front told me how fast it was going, so we went to 190, that still went a bit faster than I expected, so I was pretty happy to see. And then to my back off sets of 7 with 150, which is also the most that I've done this training block for the back offs so far. Bench was also pretty locked in this day. I feel like my butt was staying down. Pauses were decent, not that one, but my pauses were decent on the heavier sets, and I think it just felt a lot better than it was recently. Bench has been super hit or miss lately, super inconsistent, and it's been pretty frustrating, but it might still be very frustrating and inconsistent, but at least this day was something good. And deadlifts, like I said, we're moving really good today. I was just a bit tired after the end of that day, because usually I'd bring some sort of carb powder or electrolyte powder and have this whole mix that I drink after pre-workout and everything, but just didn't do that this time. Didn't even have pre-workout on this day, so no food during the session, no caffeine prior. It was just a long day. And now we start Saturday. So things go down a hill. So I handled at a meet this day and then went to train afterwards. And as expected, I was tired, but no big deal. I didn't bother putting sleeves on for squats. I just kept it pretty easy, pretty light. And these were okay, but bench was less okay. So I was supposed to do 4 triples with 3 count pause, and I ended up only doing a double at 100, and my shoulder was just hurting out of nowhere. It wasn't hurting all day. It wasn't hurting prior to this during the week. And yeah, so I called it there. I went back down to 1 rep just to see if it made a difference. And this was uncomfortable. So I hoped that, just do nothing here and maybe it'll be better by Monday. But I was wrong. So I got a little rant at the end of this video that I filmed right after this session. I figured I just kind of throw it in here to keep things like real and raw and authentic, which is the whole point of this YouTube channel, I guess. And I did still do my ODLs for the day, so I did just an easy 315 for a set of 8 to get it done.
Not sure how much of this I'm gonna cut. Honestly, I'm probably just gonna leave this on the video because I guess that's the whole point. Show like just the reality of training. I guess the reality of like what powerlifting training actually looks like, not just the fancy highlights on Instagram or anything like that. It's basically just gonna rant, and it's not even that bad. It's frustrating, I guess, because like the memories it brings up. This is a long day, right? I coached at a meet, 3 people at a meet today from 9 a.m. start time to like 5 o'clock end time. And it's fairly typical for meets to last that long. And it was a long day, but it wasn't anything like particularly tiring. But I go to train afterwards. My shoulder has kind of been bugging me a little bit here and there just throughout the day, and just doing like random things. And a bench, and my first set of 100 for 3, and I already thought 100 was going to be undershooting it like crazy, but I was tired, and I was like, it's not that big of a deal. And I can just barely hold it in the bottom, so I only do 2 reps. And my shoulder's just fucking hurting right in my front delt, like right in here. And really, like, it's not that big of a deal. That's also the frustrating part, is that it's not that big of a deal, and it's probably going to be fine. And I went down to a red, and I did a couple like Spoto presses, and it was okay. So seeing that was okay, I opted to just like call it on bench there, give it some rest, and just continue on Monday like nothing happened. Probably not going to need to adjust anything. So kind of just chalked it up to being a long day, being tired, and maybe picked up some plates weird today or something. But it brings back the memories, because the one serious injury I've had has been my right shoulder, this same shoulder. And it was 10 out of 10 pain just lifting my arm up like this. I couldn't shift in my car. I couldn't touch the wheel. I couldn't put my seatbelt on. I couldn't do anything for like 6 months. It took like 7 months to train pain-free normally. And so that was just, obviously at that time that was extremely frustrating, and I didn't bench at all for a couple months. I even went into a competition without benching for 2 months prior to that. I just loaded up ibuprofen on the day, and I benched like 80 or 85% or something. I don't know, and that was just, obviously that was an extremely frustrating time, and to have that same exact feeling again in my shoulder, it's just like not again. Not again, not right now. Because training's not like absolutely fantastic right now, but my shoulder hasn't bugged me in a while, and it hasn't been a hindrance. I haven't had any real naggings and pains for a while. and prepping for a meet that's like 12-ish weeks out, and then having nationals, USAPL nationals actually be like where I live is really, really sick. And so it just, if you just go straight to those worst case scenarios, if it's as bad as last time, then that would mean I have zero productive bench training from like now until nationals, and that's probably not going to happen, right? That's probably not going to happen. It's probably going to be fine next week, or maybe you take it easy for a couple weeks. Like realistically, that's probably the worst that's going to be. But I don't know, just there's a vent, I guess, and that's just like the reality of being a powerlifter is that you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be pissed off, probably kind of a lot, and it's a lot more than just the highlight reels that people like to show on social media. It's a lot of really boring shit. It's a lot of repetitive stuff. It's the same thing over and over as you've seen in my videos, which is the whole point, is that like this is not a fancy channel. There's no edits, there's no this or that. It's just reality. I want to talk about practical application, what it actually looks like what we actually train, like how to apply different types of programming, different situations, but the core of it is just, it's real and it's authentic, and this is real and authentic. You're gonna be frustrated and you're gonna be pissed off sometimes over things that are justified, and it's actually frustrating, and sometimes it's the smallest shit in the world that's not even frustrating, or it shouldn't be for whatever reason, but it is. And you just gotta keep going. You just gotta keep going. I finished my training session, I did my RDLs, I did my rows. I could have put more effort, 100%, but after the day it's been, and just the drop in headspace after that, sometimes the reality is you just need to get the work done, and sometimes you're not going to be able to put in all of your effort, and that's okay. Sometimes you're going to miss meals, sometimes you're going to miss sleep, and that's okay. The phrase I like to use is you just have to be 90% good 90% of the time. And the reality is that like probably no one is 100% dialed in 100% of the time, because it's just not real. And unless you are the top of the top, the best of the best of the best, you are literally the best in the world, and you can afford to have powerlifting be the only thing in life that you care about, maybe. But even the top athletes, they have families, right? They have boyfriends, girlfriends, wives, husbands, spouses, they have kids oftentimes, they have full careers outside of powerlifting oftentimes. And so almost nobody ever is 100% dialed 100% of the time. Maybe for very short periods of time, but that's just not realistic. But it's also what's hard about this sport is that, it's not really a seasoned sport. You can't just do it for a year and then take a year off. You can't prep for 3 months and then fuck around for 3 months. You do have to be like 90% on 90% of the time for 5, 10, 15 years straight to really like fill out your true potential. And that's the hard part. That's the really hard part. Through injuries, through ups and downs, through life stress, through all that shit. And that's why a lot of people drop off. Yeah, that's the unfortunate reality as well. But yeah, no, there's my rant, I guess. Gonna go home, shower, eat, and go to sleep.